Agric Academy on ARSN Television, Abuja, Nigeria. I am Khadija Oluwatoyin. The program is one that educates you on the policies of government as it relates to agriculture and, of course, the country's GDP. This does not relate to only Nigeria, and as, of course, these are cuts across the world. And we're reaching you live from Mabushi here in the nation's capital, Abuja, Nigeria. We have our topic for this week's episode is going to be consumer protection and behavior from some standard food items, and I have in the studio Mr. Behaviour. Welcome to the program, sir.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, yes, I will be having the topic for this week episode is going to be consumer protection and behavior from substandard goods. Like I said, we know that we've been talking consumer protection, how consumers can be protected. We've talked about price control as part of areas where governments can protect consumers and the rest. But the truth is that there are still certain behaviors that consumers also, have at hand that makes it very difficult, even with these policies of consumer protection. First tell us what consumer protection is.
Yeah, the consumer protection is to look out for the interest of consumers in the areas of hazardous products, warning in advance not to take such products, and when such products have been taken, whether it's food or any other product, ensuring that the perpetrators of these substandard products are brought to book by government. And it was the same reason why the government established the Consumer Protection Council to ensure that the consumers will have a voice and will have where to be able to lay their complaints for government to intervene. And over the years, the Consumer Protection Council has been trying its best to intervene in various areas where consumers' complaints are much, and see how this can be mitigated going forward.
Okay, well, consumers, government, and other play as important role in ensuring food safety and quality in free market societies. There's still this thing with Nigerians going for the cheaper products, and before you know it, you see that these are substandard products which we now take over the market, and then because of the cost implication, it now becomes a normal product for every household.
Actually, this cannot be ruled out. We'll discover that the bedrock of this problem is the endemic poverty in the land, which makes people to look for cheaper alternatives at every point in time. And the other aspect of it is the opportunistic aspect, which is these people using the fact that people are poor or are looking for cheaper goods to be able to bring out these substandard products. And you discover that most times, for example, if you are talking about electronic products, it is these same Nigerians that will go to countries like China, for example, or Japan, and will tell them the kind of standard they want so that they can bring it into the country and rival the original products that actually have and they sell at a lower price. By that, luring the people to be able to purchase those lower ones, knowing very well that they are substandard and they might not stand the test of time. And just like we are saying, in the process, they gradually leave these ones that produce genuine products and move them to extinction, because after years of non-profit, not making profit, they tend to look elsewhere or tend to move to other countries, thereby killing the local industries. So it's a major challenge both in the staple and other consumer goods in Nigeria.
Okay, so how will this food safety concern affect consumer buying this?
Yes, food safety is very, very important, because the one I mentioned earlier has to do with electronic products and other products which might not directly affect life. But we know that food safety directly affects life, and that is why government needs to intensify action in ensuring that substandard products are eradicated from Nigeria. Because we have discovered that in the advent of these substandard products have made critical inroad into the health of Nigerians. you see that more and more Nigerians are now having what we call cancer and other food-related diseases that ought not to be if standards are maintained. So the government needs to look at products, especially products that are being manufactured outside this country, because some people import substandard products into the country, sell it at a cheaper rate for people to buy, and people rush it, just like the explanation I gave earlier, because of lack of purchasing power, and leave out the ones that are actually standard and also that are pricey. So in the process, they consume things that will leave them with health challenges on the long run. So the government needs to use the instrumentality of the government to ensure that the Standard Organization of Nigeria, NAFDAC, and all other agencies that are involved in ensuring the standard of products that are brought into Nigeria, especially food products, are on their toes to ensure that the products that are brought in are not substandard, are not hazardous to the health of Nigerians, and they are not in a way trying to run out the locally produced ones out of production, and also ensuring that they take over the market to the detriment of the local productions.
Okay, now consumer protection is a whole lot of you've talked about having NAFDAC and being on their toes. You talk about SON, the Standard Organization of Nigeria, also being on their toes. Can you tell us what are the needs for consumer protection, the needs for it?
Yes, consumers need to be protected because on the long run, the population suffers from lack of protection of consumers, especially when it comes to food intake. The second aspect is that when the consumers are protected, we can be able to have a healthy nation that can be able to contribute to the workforce of the country and improve the country's GDP. The third aspect of it is that when consumers are protected, they have a sense of belonging as a citizen of the country, knowing fully well that their government means well for them and is looking out for their interest. And the fourth aspect is that when consumer protection is top-notch, it will scare away those that want to make undue profit to the detriment of Nigerians. I remember years back when there was a problem in Kano State as regards a baby milk, my Pekin or something like that. Okay. At that period. Because of lack of quick intervention, we discovered that poverty made a lot of mothers to go and buy this baby food, and a lot of children died in Kano at that time. So these are the things that needs to be prevented so that it will not cause a spread of diseases or cause an epidemic in the country.
I was coming to that what will happen if this is not, consumer protection is not put in place?
Definitely, it's going to cause, there could be spread of diseases, there could be epidemic, there could be lower manpower projection by the country, because if a good portion of your population is sick, they cannot be able to produce or provide their own quota to the sustainability of the country. So when the government looks at the negative side of not ensuring consumer protection, it needs to make sure that it is enforced because of the health risk that is involved when the populace are not protected.
Okay, yes, there is so many risks that is involved when the populace are not well protected. Let's take a quick break. The program continues shortly. Stay tuned. still program Agric economy, and we've been looking at consumer protection vis-a-vis the behaviors of consumer as well to having each is they do when it comes to having food items. And we'll be speaking to Mr. Gabriel Dakolo, who has been telling us and shedding more light on what this is. Thank you for joining us, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, so moving ahead, we'll be taking a look at, let me start from having poor food sanitation.
Yeah.
What can this mean?
Yes, when there is poor food sanitation, it arises from where the food is being produced, either from the farm or from the production sector centers. And you know that when there is no adequate sanitation, it can affect the output of the food, one. It can also affect the consumption of the food, in the sense that when the food is produced in an unhygienic environment, it can cause germs to get into the food and have harmful effects on the consumers. So that is why we have a department in the Ministry of Agriculture that has to do with food health department that goes about to ensure that places where food is produced, manufactured, or even some other farming centers, that they are clean and fit for use, because this always affects the output if it is not clean and fit for use, and the end consumers might get health scare or health risk when there is a problem.
Okay, this brings me to one issue I had just say some weeks back.
Yeah.
I bought cowpea beans from
Yes.
the market, and then in a hurry we got packed and the rest of it will go home, and the whole of my kitchen was smelling of pesticide.
Yes.
And I was like, I don't understand. Is it that when this beans is being done, it's being removed, the cowpea is removed from the pod and the rest of it, is it then that they now have to spray?
Actually, what happens is that
Because
for preservation
after
sake,
cooking,
yes,
the smell was still so strong.
in fact, that should not be consumed. When the general practice of preserving cowpea, which is beans, is to ensure that you spray some insecticides to it for a period of time, so that it will not allow germs to harbor to harbor the beans and spoil it on the long run. But it also has to do with time frame. Some of those insecticides are supposed to be sprayed and left for a period of 3 to 6 months, some to 1 year, depending on their potency. So that is when it is after then that it should be sold to the market. So the one you bought must have been sold in a hurry, not waiting for the time frame for the pesticide to actually do its job. Wow. And it can lead to hazardous situations. We have seen situations even in this country where they will say, oh, people had a meal of beans and they all died in the morning. These are as a result of pesticides that did not allow to take its full course, and it affects and kills people.
Okay, it's well with us. I pray that government is going to really be able to, because unlike what you see in the oil sector, where you get to see once there's fuel scarcity, you begin to see the DPR going around to check how much. I think that it's time for the Agric sector to also have something similar, like farm inspector officers.
Yes.
Because if you look at it, we have these extension workers.
Yes.
This is not part of what should be.
That is part of their mandate. But you know, the challenge that we have in this country as regards enforcement is the human angle. Some people are given the roles to enforce government policies, but they go overboard with it. Well, that's why you see situation whereby, for example, people, petty traders selling on the roads. You see that government enforcers of nothing will just pack them. Some of them in the process of running get hit by vehicles and stuff like that. And those products that are collected from them are never returned, knowing fully well that these people are into this business because of poverty in the first place, or they are trying to survive. So when we talk of enforcement, enforcement should be done with a human face. Enforcement should be done with adequate education or the dangers of allowing such to go through. When the people that you want to enforce government policies also are well educated, but they make your job easier, because what you actually want to enforce might be done away with by these people when they are adequately educated. You see, when we have Agric extension officers, we have their enforcement team, the first thing they need to do, I remember in the early days of the Federal Road Safety Commission, what they used to do is that when a traffic offender is caught, they educate the traffic offender and tell him, look, we are going to allow you to go, but do not do it again. But we discovered that over time, they have turned to other enforcement agencies, and they punish you to the largest extent of the law, or extort you, or whatever, and you have a very, very sore experience with them. So that has been the trend when it comes to enforcement in Nigeria. Officers that are asked to enforce government policies go to the extreme without even educating the people in the process. So when we talk of Agric extension officers that carry the job of enforcement, the first thing that needs to be done is to educate these people of the dangers of substandard foods, or food that can be harmful to the health of the people, and letting them know that that singular act could wipe out a whole family or thereabout. So when they know the danger, enforcement will be easier, because it will have been seen that, oh, in fact, in some cases, it is co-sellers or people in the market that will even rat out those that are doing such heinous or substandard products. But if nobody is enforced, it will be seen as if it's a witch hunt or trying to kill their business skills on the long run.
Okay, we've touched on post sanitation and the rest of it. This part, you seldom see it happen in Nigeria. Very, very seldomly. Food labeling.
Yeah.
You go to the shelf. You just see that they'll put the beans, rice, gari.
Yeah.
In fact, for gari, you know that okay, one is yellow and the other one is white. And then you don't get to see that. Unlike if you leave the shores of this country, if you're buying rice, for example, they'll tell you this one is organic, this is inorganic, this is this, that is that. And then you see the different categories of this particular products. But in Nigeria, rice is rice. Whatsoever way it was farmed, and we just want to get the money.
It is sold. Actually, the challenge we have with food labeling in Nigeria is because we operate multiple markets. The most prevalent markets in Nigeria are informal markets. You see them in for the My 12, for example, all these markets outside the fringes of Abuja, that they are informal markets. 1, 2, the people engaging in this market are not educated to the extent that they will label any product. 3, the people that are purchasing these products don't even care, or do not want to know whether whatever it is that is used to produce them. They just want to buy. Just give me one module of this, one module of that, and let me go my way. The most important thing they do is to price, and when price is agreed, they go. So Nigeria has 70% of its market as informal markets, while the remaining 30% are formal markets, where you see the supermarkets and you see the other food chains. And this is where labeling can be enforced, and this is where people that we call well-to-do in Nigeria also patronize. So that is where the challenge is. The major challenge is to ensure that even the people that goes to these supermarkets or food chains ensure that the foods are properly labeled. Because we discovered that due to allergies of people, if products are not properly labeled, you could buy the one that will affect your allergy and have a breakout in the long run. So that is where consumer protection and all the other agencies of government needs to come in. We know that NAFDAC used to enforce these producers of water and other health-related products, and ensure that every segment or every product or every material that is used is adequately labeled with the portions that are used, so that the consumers will know. There are some people, for example, they are allergic to caffeine, so you should label it on your product so that when they want to buy, they will know, no, I'm not going to buy this. Some are allergic to chloroquine, for example. It should be well and adequately labeled so that people will not go and buy it knowing fully well that it will affect them. So that is where the government enforcement agents should go to all these food chains, supermarkets, health pharmacies and the rest to ensure that products that are not properly labeled are taken off their shelf, and proper education is also given to the proprietors of these stores to ensure that when they go into partnership with people that bring these products, they also ensure that they are properly labeled.
I think this proper labeling is just only thrive in the health sector.
Yes.
Because I see that, of course, that's the only place when you go to over the counter to get any drugs, you see there's a leaflet. In fact, some of the drugs, so to say, some of the drugs don't even have these leaflets inside of them.
Yeah.
Especially those that are Nigerian products. So much to be done. This is now bringing me to the issue of food fraud.
Yes.
Some will tell you that even when labeled, this is Ijebu Gari. If you open this Gari, it will make you have money. It will make you do this.
Yeah.
But then, when you take this product, these food items home, you discover that you are getting the opposite side of it. What's the way forward?
Actually, food fraud is prevalent in Nigeria because people are prone to sharp practices, and also the consumers also, one way or the other, want multiple effect or multiple value for the products that they are buying, and the people that are perpetrators of this food fraud read the mind of the people. They know what the people want and they try to sell it to them, and that is why we come to this era of food fraud. Apart from labeling, the adequate quantity of a particular product that has been packaged should be well stated, so that you will know that is this kg you are buying, and when you are buying it, it will be actually that kg. The potency of whatever it is that you are buying should also be adequately stated. For example, in the health sector, this product that I'm selling, and this is prevalent with the traditional medicine dealers, to the extent that they will inform you, this particular product, it can cure 100 diseases at once, or this particular product can even prevent you from dying, or stuff like that, just to lure people to buy it.
Right.
So these are the kind of things that should be prevented, to ensure that when you are selling a product, you should be able to state the potency of that product along the line of what it can actually do, and not exaggerate its power. And that is what we are saying. Also, in the area of food sales, for example, there are people that will sell substandard products to the people, and they will tell you, we are in sales now, and you will buy something that is actually spoiled, or you buy something that has expired, and they will say, they are in sales now, so what we are selling for 100 naira, come and buy it for 50 naira. And people, out of excitement, buy this product, not even looking at the in excess, not even looking at the expiry date, or sometimes some of them, in determination to perpetrate this fraud, close the expiry date or erase it from the food product so as to be able to sell it. So the government needs to also come in, because just like we said, the effects of consumption of this kind of products cannot be overemphasized. It can lead to death. It can lead to epidemic. So the government needs to look into these areas to ensure that there is proper enforcement.
Okay, yes, sir. So while government needs to look into the fact that consumers are to be protected, consumers themselves also need to be up and doing in the aspect of checking the labeling, and of course, don't forget, expiry date is very important. And I know that most products these days have this hash line where you can scan, and from your phone you can know when these products are expired. Thank you for joining us on the program, sir.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, on that note, to wrap it up on the program for this week on Agric Economy, I remain your host, Khadija Oluwatoyin, saying thank you for joining us.